Hello out there, and taking a quick look today at the newest variation on the Spyderco Smock. So what we have up top is the original one. This one is in S30V blade steel and has the carbon fiber G10 laminate scale. And then the new one is a KnifeJoy exclusive, and this one has a very significant upgrade in blade steel going to 20CV versus S30V. And then the other big change is that the handle material is just plain G10 instead of that carbon fiber G10 laminate. So this one is a nicely polished G10. It is a little bit on the slick side, but I think it's just ultra classy looking though. And honestly, for the people who like to modify these knives and provide some aftermarket kind of materials, getting those aftermarket scales, then it won't really matter. I do know also that although I am a pretty big fan of this like G10 laminate, I like this stuff on this H5 and a number of the other models that they've had it on, there are a good number of people who just don't prefer it. And so maybe this G10 variation will be more agreeable. Now that said, the biggest selling point, the coolest thing about this is that the people at KnifeJoy did us a solid when it comes to the pricing of this upgrade. It's only the same price as the regular Smock, so you're going to find it for $175 on their website. Same price as you're going to find the Smock in just about every place you see it. So the people at KnifeJoy not doing any kind of price gouging or anything when it comes to that. So very cool for them and cool by them to service the community that way. I was fortunate enough to win this one in a raffle, and so I'm left with two Smocks. Funny thing, I'd already been thinking about moving on from my first Smock when this one fell into my hands. And so I'm in a situation where, well, what was I going to do with the first Smock? And I'll let you know what I traded it for in just a minute. But you might have known that that first Smock, I had the blue Blades We Love hardware, but I also had some bronze hardware as well. I had a bronze button lock, and then also the standoffs and the lanyard tube were bronze as well on this. I've removed them and put the stock pieces back on because I have a whole set of bronze hardware now for this. So I am going to take a quick minute after I show the knife and install all that stuff and give you a look at it. I want to see if there are, I've only had this knife unboxed for a few minutes, I want to see if there are any other kind of differences. I'm really not seeing any. One of the knocks that I had on the first Smock was that the jimping was just a little bit on the sharp side. And let's see, it's pretty much the same. So almost identical in all facets, I'd say, just apart from the blade steel and that handle material. All right, so this one out of box definitely needs to be broken in. Not quite as drop shutty as the first Smock yet, but I know that we'll get there, so no big worry. So hold on just a minute. I'm going to do some disassembly and get the new pieces put on, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, so here we have it. Here is the Smock with all of the aftermarket bronze hardware. I'm really digging it. It looks very sharp. Probably in this lighting, you're not able to catch it as well as you could. I'll try to insert like a nicer picture or something, but you get the point. Just gives it a little bit more of a pop of color and makes it my own. There's a lot of aftermarket kind of stuff available for this model, guys. Personally, I don't mind the clip, even though it does carry with a lot of real estate left out. And as for now, the scales are just fine. So I'm going to carry this guy for a while. I'm going to check it out, see what it's like. I was actually, and let me see if I have it right here. I was planning on starting a new kind of challenge, something different. I'm planning on doing carry a Medford for 7 days, something really outside of what I usually will carry. This is from my buddy Machete J. Just wanted to get an idea of what it would be like to actually EDC a beast of a knife like this. I'm gonna have to push that off for a couple days while I carry this thing. But yeah, it is pretty darn sweet. Now, what I will say about the Smock, and I actually talked about this on Instagram just the other day, is that as far as Spydercos go, this one is pretty user-friendly with disassembly. I've had a little bit of trouble in the past with like the Para 3s, paramilitary 2s, maybe just a little bit too much Loctite. I don't know, maybe I've just been too scared of screwing them up, but disassembling these knives has been really easy for me. Not too much Loctite at all. And even though the stock hardware is not T8 like this, it still does just come apart really easily. The pieces did fit together it was a little more difficult on this version than it was on this. They have a snug fit, but it took me just an extra couple minutes to get this back together. And I did I did drop the secondary detent ball on the ground, so I had to go searching for that for a minute. So that kind of crap can happen. So definitely be aware of that if you're going to do something like this yourself. But overall, yeah, big shout out to Knife Joy for putting out a really nice variation here at, again, what is a very competitive price, and it makes no sense not to kind of price if you're in the market for a smock, as long as these are still available. Now, all this out of the way, so what is to come of the first smock? So this knife has been traded, and if you're not interested in Star Wars stuff, maybe just stop watching now, because I traded it for something that isn't a knife. So some of you might know a guy by the name of Jodan Shadow. He has a little business called Shadowborn Hanks. He makes some really sweet handkerchiefs, and I got to know him because, believe it or not, a few months ago, just out of the blue, he contacted me and said he wanted to send me just a couple hanks. He knew me through, I think, someone else on Instagram, and just said, hey, here's a couple Star Wars hanks. I know you're a big fan, and really appreciated that. That's how I first met him. And, you know, since then, we've chatted back and forth, commented on each other's posts here and there and that kind of thing. But he reached out to me with something Star Wars related that he was trying to sell, and we ended up being able to work out a trade because I had an extra smock and he had something that, while it hasn't been on my list of Star Wars things to get, it is a pretty rare kind of thing, and so I went for it. And so the thing that I traded this original smock for is right here. So some of you know I really like my bobbleheads. This is a General Grievous. As far as bobbleheads of Star Wars go, this is one of the rarer ones and harder ones to find at this point. And so, yeah, I had the extra smock. He had an interest in the model, so he'll be getting my first one. I got this, and he also sent me not just that one sticker, but he sent me a bunch of his stickers, which is really cool. And then he sent me a few hanks, and I really like his hanks. I mean, there's a lot of people who do good hanks that you can get on Instagram or Etsy or wherever you are. The stitches on this are pretty neat, and this is a Vader one. I don't have anything in this pattern yet, so yeah, this is pretty sweet. There's a couple other ones that he sent, which I'll probably hold on to and use for future giveaways, so these could eventually end up in your hands, which is a pretty cool thing as well. So that is it, guys. So big shout out to Shadowborn Hanks. I'll link to his Instagram down below. Knife Joy, good on them for doing what they're doing. And yeah, I'm excited. I've got that Medford challenge I'm going to be starting in a couple days, but that's pushed back because I definitely want to give this guy some pocket time and see what he's all about. And then we'll see what the future is with this knife, and if I hold on to it, or if I do any further mods to it. All right. Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. Really appreciate you watching. Thanks again. Take care and have a good one.